will never have life on Earth because the periodic table will not have exist. So we can observe the facts.
That is why we think things are natural.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. But it has to be behind the Big Bang. It has to be an intelligent designer or causation that has instructed this. And that is the difference. Thanks.
Maybe just a follow-up to Doug's response on the last component, that because of the constants that we believe things are natural, what I'd like to ask is whether we have a defined causative power for the physical constants that he's talking about, and what do we describe? Do we describe the constants, or do we explain the origin of the specific constant? And the other question maybe that can help us appreciate where we're coming from and the presentation that was done, the question that was asked of the naturalism is based still on area. Why was there fear to really appreciate the question of origin? But because even the issue of the origin of the universe, we'll go back to time equals 10 raised to the 3. And why the fear of the question of origin? Because if we maybe put aside the philosophy of naturalism, then we will not fear the question of mind at the present of mind. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah, small correction, moderator. I'm not yet a doctor. I'm Mr. James Sekamati from chemistry.
James Sekamate, I use the powers entrusted to me to make a doctor very soon.
Thank you.
And in that same regard, before you even say, I have even the convener, Dr. Joel Isanga. I think some of you did not see him. Dr. Joel, can you stand? That one. He's joining me to confer you very soon. So that's
Thank you. Theory, intelligent design. I'm quite uncomfortable. First of all, thank you so much for this beautiful theory. But I'm uncomfortable taking it as part of science. I think it's not. The fact that it's intelligence design, there's an agent behind this intelligence. I mean, something like a God, maybe it's Allah. In my local language, I can call that agent Patonda. So this is a theory, I mean, it's a belief in a religious faith. Yeah? So this design is faith, it can't be science. I mean, it's nothing that you can demonstrate, nothing can test, nothing can experiment on. So I believe you people were spreading religion or faith, but I'm not taking us science. Thank you so much.
My name is called Dr. Gladys Wanika from ZEPS. And zoology in Conas. Yes, just a little related to what the previous has just been asking. I wanted to understand to prove what I've so far understood. So I'm looking at ID, critiquing naturalism, using scientific methods. So probably I'm correct at that point. But then I also want to know, because you are looking at ID 2075, and probably taking over naturalism. Okay, taking over, or at that point convincing as many people that this is the way to go, it is ID, it's not naturalism. But I also wanted to understand how far ID can go without recognizing the designer. So do you think you can build ID scientifically enough to answer the questions of what we see in existence without bridging in the creation part of it? Because as a scientist and a person of faith, I believe you can't be without the designer. Thank you.
It's interesting that
did you two speak to each other before? Because your questions are beautifully connected. May I start with this gentleman's question first? Could you possibly give him back the microphone? James, yeah.
Yes, please.
So, let's say we're at a radio telescope, or the Very Large Array in Australia. And there's lots of incoming electromagnetic radiation from the galaxy. And we see a sequence of prime numbers on a narrow band transmission. Very powerful narrow band in the spectrum, and it's carrying 3, 7, 11, 13, 17. Then we see the decimal expansion of pi out to trillions of digits, which crazy Russian mathematicians have done. They're solving pi out as far as they can. And we're there with a real person, the radio astronomer Jill Tarter, who is an atheist and is one of the world's leading experts on the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And she is overjoyed. She has spent her whole career looking for those patterns that are diagnostic of another mind. Right? Pi is a mathematical object. It is grasped and produced to look for a physical cause for that pattern. You would say, I am not going to allow you an inference to an intelligence until I can see the intelligence, because if I do that, that is religion. So, despite the fact that you have finally found evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, you must stay at the bench, searching for the physical cause for what you have detected, because I will not allow you to infer an intelligence you haven't seen. That is religion. So I'm asking you, is that what you would say to her?
No.
That means you are open to design. That means it is not religion. If you can know that there are other minds that you have not observed from the patterns that they produce, that is design, and we'll worry about God or Allah or aliens or whatever the designer might have been, but as long as we can detect the action of intelligence, we have a science.
Dr. Nelson, my issue, I know there's a designer in every design, but my issue is taking this theory as part of science. No,
It's already part of science. There are over 200 peer-reviewed papers in the existing literature. I currently have a large manuscript under review about the origin of whales in a major biological journal. If you count publication in major journals as part of science, it's already there. Furthermore, scientists regularly attack intelligent design in the world's leading journals like Nature and Science. They can attack the idea, but we are not allowed to defend it unless we work really hard to get our papers in. So it's already there.
Okay, to push it the other way, how is it different from Islam, for example, or Christianity? Theory. How is it different from Islam?
I don't see. What's this on? I'm not sure I follow your question.
So this theory.
On the question of following up on or picking from what Paul has indicated, intelligent design only focuses on evidence in nature. And that's why he was drawing your attention to that particular example. And the evidence that you can be able to identify in nature, and one based on our experience, we can be able to infer. And those conclusions can be made even without really knowing who designed whatever thing you're talking about. So we don't go to, and the difference between IT and any other denomination, religion, etc. IT is not based on any religious text. It's not. It's purely on evidence in nature. And that's our scope.
And you see, the fine-tuning of the universe, we use probability calculation. I mentioned the 4 cosmological constants. If you add all the 4, the probability of the constants having the value necessary for life-friendly universe has been estimated at 1 in 10 in probability, we talk about 1 in 10 in 322, and that is even bigger, and it's not possible to illustrate in any way. So the thing is impossible. It cannot have happened by a chance.
It's not zero.
What?
It is greater than zero, so I mean it can happen.
10 in 3 minus 322?
It's not zero. He's saying there's still a chance.
You are optimistic.
I never got to do this. I'm sorry. I started with him and never got to say it.
Please give me the question again. I'm sorry, I got so involved with James back there.
Yeah, so I just wanted to understand, first of all, I put a summary of what I understood, that ID is using a scientific approach to critique naturalism.
Right, I agree.
Yes, and possibly by 2075, if we are all converted
Now I
as
remember.
scientists,
Now I remember.
would look at ID, okay, as a new theory. But I wanted to look at the scope, the limitation that he has just actually mentioned, of how far we can go to understand that there is a designer without crossing
Yes.
into the area of creationalism, which we cannot possibly ignore.
Right, and now I realize why I started with James, because your question is much harder to answer. The thought experiment that I opened the talk with is definitely, an experiment. I don't ever expect to see that happen, but I do expect intelligent design to grow scientifically. And I want it to be fruitful and testable, and I want it to be the kind of tool that an atheist could use. There's this expression, I don't know if you have it in here in Uganda, but in the States we talk about people voting with their feet. Right? They see something interesting over there and they walk over to see what it is. They're voting with their feet. I would like to have a theory of design that is so powerful and productive of discovery that an atheist would say, well, I don't know if God exists, but you guys found that was really good, that helped cure cancer or whatever. I'll try that tool for myself. I'll sort out the theology later. The identity of the designer is where these questions become so incredibly difficult. Because we do want to say there is a sphere of faith, whether one's a Christian, a Jewish believer, Islamic, whatever you take from the whole spectrum of human religious behavior, that is qualitatively different from what we do in faculties of natural science. We have, and for me, the main criterion that separates those is, in a scientific framework, what you say has got to be testable. You have got to have a way of finding out if you were wrong. And you've got to be open to your peers when they tell you that you're wrong. So I totally agree with you that the danger of intermingling these two ways of understanding reality, possibly to the detriment of both, needs to be taken seriously.